All right, final segment of the AllSooners Podcast. And if you like the AllSooners Podcast, drop us a nice rating. We love those 5-star ratings. They're so helpful to get the podcast spread out there. The podcast companies see that 5-star rating and they spread it out and they push it out and they get it out to everybody, and everybody else gets to listen. So your favorite podcast gets blasted out even more and gets shared even more. And speaking of shared, share us on social media. If you're watching us on YouTube or whatever, share us on social media. If you're listening on your podcast platform, share us on social media. Again, super helpful to get the word out. And of course, if you are watching on YouTube, like, subscribe, give us a comment there as well. And hey, if you want to advertise with us, just drop me an email at allsoonersi@gmail.com or just DM me on Twitter at John E. Hoover. My DMs are open. New series started today at allsooners.com. Position report cards. It's our favorite time of the year where we're reliving last year. We do it every year. Today we gave you our grades on the offensive line. That was fun. Kind of a preview as well of the what's coming up in the spring. Although the transfer portal is going to change that. So tomorrow Ryan's got the defensive line. Friday Ross has got the wide receivers, and so on and so forth. Every day a new installment of the new series position report card. So check that out. Allsooners.com. Okay, segment 3, Ryan. We're in the portal. We're talking portal, but we're talking about guys who stayed. Talking about guys specifically on defense who didn't leave, didn't declare for the draft, didn't opt out, didn't transfer portal themselves somewhere else. The latest one, apparently, reportedly, is Trace Ford. He has not formally announced I'm coming back. He does brush his teeth with his left hand, he said, and feels enlightened, he said. Thank you for looking that up for me. But yeah, no, Trace Ford hasn't made it official, but apparently his mom is telling reporters that he's coming back for 2024. Good for Trace Ford. Good for the Oklahoma defense.
Oklahoma now has a whole defensive line that came back, right? Ethan Downs, Trace Ford, DeJohn Terry, Jacob Lacey, got that. Crucially, too, I know that everyone's laser focused in, rightly so, on Danny Stutzman coming back, but it also was paired with the fact that no transfer portal entries before spring, for Kip Lewis or Kobe McKenzie or Jaron Kanik, or frankly, even Samuel Masiko, Phil Pichatti, and Lewis Carter. So one of those situations.
Hey, maybe Brent Venables is fun to play for.
Yeah, one of those things. It right? Looks like it. And this was, we talked about it. I feel kind of a little bit like a broken record, but I was telling you through November, I was interested to see what this looked like. Because one of the things that Brent Venables and Dabo did is it felt like they always got guys to come back one extra year, at least a handful of key guys to come back one extra year at Clemson. First time that's really been a thing at Oklahoma, and you've got literally guys at every single level. Woody, Billy, the 4 defensive line we just talked about, and that's only going to serve to help as you have another year of guys in the system. It's going to help teach the young freshmen coming in that much faster, as you're going to have a whole defensive line, whether it's Ethan Downs and Trace Ford that have been there, done that, got the T-shirt to help those guys come in. Terry and Lacey can show everyone the ropes, as well as all those younger guys. It's only a massive positive for Oklahoma, as they'll have more and more depth options in year one in the SEC.
Think about those 4 names I gave you a few minutes ago, the defensive linemen that are coming in this class, Nigel Smith and David Stone and all those guys. Think about how they're going to come in and they're going to be able to learn from somebody like Trace Ford, who's been around forever, Jacob Lacey, who's been around forever, DeJohn Terry, who's been around forever. Some of those guys have been at 2 schools. Some of them have been at 3 schools. Just the amount of knowledge and the amount of experience that they're going to be able to pass along to those true freshmen, which a true freshman on arguably one of, if not the best defensive line class in the country. So yeah, just look for bright days ahead for the Oklahoma defense, especially the defensive line. We don't talk a lot of NFL on the podcast, Ryan, but I think we should because the playoffs are starting. Item 1, CeeDee Lamb is the best wide receiver in the NFL this year. Is he the best player in the NFL this year?
No, I don't think he's the best wide receiver in the NFL this year. I think Tyreek Hill is the best wide receiver in the NFL this year.
Come on. I'd take CeeDee this year. This year, CeeDee had a better year.
He has less yards, less touchdowns, and he is a better quarterback. So I was
going to say, wait, look who his quarterback is.
I'd take Dak over Tua, but the fact that I'm totally out on full disclosure. I think Tua is just a system guy, but that's neither here nor there. The fact that I think it's very, very clearly Tyreek Hill, CeeDee Lamb, 1A, 1B, nobody else in that conversation is, regardless if you want to split hairs, whatever. I mean, sensational for him, and now it's just a bummer that's going to have to end at the hands of Jordan Love and the Packers because Dallas can't win playoff games.
I'm going to call something up here real quick, so please talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah, well, while you do that, I mean, you had that with CD, you had Baker, and you've got Jalen Hurts, who are going to end up playing each other in a playoff game, and Baker has like cemented himself as the guy in Tampa as those contract negotiations are going to start. Or it sounds like that they've already started the mutual interest to extend. Trent Williams is going to probably win himself a Super Bowl, maybe. Either that, Trent Williams, or like the merry band of random Oklahoma guys that Baltimore always likes to suck in, like those two. Either Mark Andrews or Trent Williams is going home with a ring. I'm telling you right now. That's how that's going to end up.
Probably so. So on CD, he made first-team All-Pro this year, along with Tyreek Hill. Trent Williams made first-team All-Pro, and Lane Johnson made first-team All-Pro. Creed Humphrey did not. Jason Kelce did. Jason Kelce was like the highest-graded center in the NFL this year. Although I keep calling him CD. Creed's fumble recovery last week of a ball that wasn't actually fumbled, when he was running full speed and just bent over and picked it up and tucked it away and stiff-armed a dude.
Yeah.
That was incredible. Yeah. That was incredible. I want to see him on a play where he gets the football under his arm.
We're not even talking about maybe the biggest upset win of the entire NFL season. Blake Bell, his family's just in with Taylor Swift and that crew. Like that. I mean, what you want production on the field? Blake Bell's got it. You want rings? Blake Bell's got it. His wife is rolling with Taylor Swift. What else can you do?
That's pretty great. Good for Blake Bell. He's living the life.
I know. What a guy. What a guy. Beat the hell out of Notre Dame, living the life. Yeah. I mean, what more do you need?
You mentioned Baker. Baker leads. He got that $1 million bonus. He led Tampa to the NFC South title. It's kind of not knocking anybody here, but I'm just saying the NFC South this year is like winning an ugly pig contest. But kudos to Baker. He's healthy 2 times in his NFL career, and he leads his team to the playoff both times. The dude's a straight baller, and I love watching him play. My wife has begun watching Red Zone, NFL Red Zone with me, because she hates Red Zone. But if that's the only way she gets to see Baker play on Sundays, then that's what she'll do. So, and then him versus Jalen in the playoffs this week.
Monday night.
Interesting. Monday night, and it's in Tampa. So you got your defending NFC champ going on the road in their first playoff game to Tampa Bay. Good luck to both men.
Baker probably going to be comeback player of the year too. I mean, who else has a better shot than him? I mean, frankly.
Yeah, he could win that thing. And like I said, he gets his team to the playoffs and gets $1 million. You gotta love that. Last football item for you, and then we'll move on to other sports. Congrats to Dewey Selman.
Yeah, huge.
Joins his little brother, Leroy, in the College Football Hall of Fame. His son, Zach, who's the athletic director at Mississippi State, sends him a congratulations on Twitter. He's the 24th Sooner to go into the College Football Hall of Fame, and this one's overdue. They overlooked him a generation ago when he was up for it, and for some reason he didn't get in, but this time he did.
Well, and you heard, I don't know, is this the cardinal sin? I hope my bosses elsewhere are not listening. Dewey had a great interview with Toby Rowland on KREF talking about the moment he found out, stuff like that. I'd encourage you to go seek that out. It was really, really cool for a guy. Listen, I have a very simple bar, John. If you are enshrined forever in a statue at the University of Oklahoma for playing football, you will be in every college football Hall of Fame that should exist. It's as simple as that. They just don't give out those statues to anybody in Norman America. Right. It's the same thing as if you're a football player and you get a statue at Michigan, Alabama, Ohio State, you should be in the College Football Hall of Fame. I feel like that's like a layup. And maybe your breaking news story, the day of OU Nebraska 2 years ago, saying that there was going to be a Selmon statue, the dedication of that. I think that you actually, Hoove, you and Joe Castiglione, hand in hand, fist, arm in arm, were the final push to get Dewey across the line, a long overdue, well earned enshrinement for Dewey.
Once the selectors found out that he had a statue in Norman, that's when you're right. It was like, oh my gosh, if he's going up in Norman, we got to get him in the Hall. How's he not in the Hall of Fame? I think part of it is we've already got a Selmon in the Hall of Fame. Don't we already have a Selmon? Yeah, Selmons are in the Hall of Fame. That's right. So let's move on to the next guy. No, it's they overlooked him for an entire, really two generations. He should have been in the 90s.
You know who should be next?
Who's that?
Mrs. Selmon gets a spot in the College Football Hall of Fame.
Hell yeah!
I think that she deserves a spot as well.
Do you remember the Ismail brothers, Rocket Ismail and Raghib Ismail? Raghib?
Yeah.
Smart Aleck sports writer guys, I think, at some point in their college football careers nicknamed their mom the Launchpad or Rocket. And what was Raghib? Rocket Ismail and I can't remember. The Missile. I can't remember. Yeah. Anyway, I blew the joke, but that's pretty good. The Launchpad.
Tough to beat that.
My mom was not the Launchpad. Let's put it that way.
No, you failed her. That's how that works. That's not on your mom. That's on you.
My mom, arguably more athletic than me, and didn't even play sports.
Same. Although my mom played, but she was way better at everything. So per usual.
No, we were at a function the other day, and we were talking about my daughter being at the Union High School Hall of Fame and 3-year starter at TU, and the people we were talking to were just like, what? And I go, do you not remember how athletic her mother was back in the day? Not me, her mother. So yeah, she got the good genes. Anyway, let's move on to basketball.
Sorry, you mentioned it earlier off the top. We're on pins and needles checking every notification just to see if like Zac Alley happened. Pete Carroll just got canned as the head coach at Seattle.
What?
This is not an NFL podcast, but he can stay around for a role in the organization, but he's not going to coach. What is happening? Wow. Okay. Anyway,
did we bring that one about too with Brendan Carroll being in San Antonio and me asking him a bunch of questions about his dad?
I guess, and then Johnny Nisson's going to Texas. So Arizona's staff in shambles. One emotional damage from the dad. The other one is like, hey, they're looking for a DC. So
sorry about that, Brennan and Pete. My bad.
What on earth?
That's the case.
Sorry to disrupt the pod. I was just like, oh my god, because earlier in the second segment, Kawhi Leonard extended, which meant I got like 5 tweet notifications, and I was like, oh god, what happened? And I was like, oh no, this is a national story. Then it happened again. I was like, did it happen this time? No, it was Pete Carroll.
You subscribe to too many notifications. That's what that problem is.
Yeah. I would prefer.
That's the life of a radio guy.
Yeah, it's like I'm sure that when you hung up the headphones, you were like, okay, I don't need Shams, I don't need Woj, I don't need.
Let's talk some hoops. Let's talk OU hoops. They opened their final Big 12 season, final season of Big 12 play, maybe, with a 71-63 home win last week. Last week over Iowa State. It was a big game for Javian McCollum. What a good win for Oklahoma. A good way to win that game. And for McCollum, holy hell, what a player.
Yeah, it was like it's one game, right? One game does not make a huge Big 12 run, but it's hard not to see the parallels of what we've watched for 2 years, Hoove, which is a team that can hang tight for 36 minutes, and then whether it's not able to get a defensive stop to get across the finish line, whether it's giving up a huge offensive rebound that ends up being a backbreaker, all that stuff. You got exactly that situation set up, right? Going into the media timeout at the under 4, it's just a knockdown, drag-out fight. It had never been really more than a 6-point advantage either way, and Iowa State finally got their first lead of the game with about 10 minutes left, and you're sitting here thinking, Oklahoma did all this, and it's going to be the same old, same old. Well, guess what? No, not the case. Javian McCollum, 6 of 13. So it wasn't a huge shooting performance, but it was the 3 straight assists, finding Sam Godwin twice. You had a key Rivaldo Suarez. He had 9 rebounds. Then he had a huge kick out to Milos Uzan. And Sam Godwin and John Hughley were able to do everything they needed to do in the final 4 minutes to keep Iowa State off the boards. And suddenly Oklahoma, who played a majority of the first half without their leading scorer, Otega Owe, who picked up 2 just terrible foul calls back-to-back within about 10 seconds of each other. with 12 and a half minutes left. Who at any point last year, if Oklahoma was without its leading scorer, like if Grant Sherfield was in foul trouble and missed the entire first half, Oklahoma's getting curb stomped. Home, away, doesn't matter who they were playing. Oklahoma hangs tough, and then Oweh gets the line a couple of times, and it was everything Porter Moser wanted out of the improvements he made this offseason. The only issue is it's the Big 12, so you can't be riding high on that. Tonight, Wednesday, they'll be in Fort Worth against a team that Porter Moser likens. They're constructed pretty similarly to Iowa State. And then all Iowa State did is go and snap Houston's undefeated run to start the year yesterday at Hilton. So if there were any questions about, how good is that Iowa State win, they just beat Houston, who's just an absolute animal, obviously with Kelvin and crew. And now the Sooners get to it. Man, if they can go in there and steal this one in Fort Worth, I think that they're going to play so loose and free at the weekend, heading to Kansas, because going to Lawrence, 2-0 in Big 12 play, you expect to come out 2-1. It's almost like your plan was house money, and there's no pressure on you to go and win that basketball game in a really weird way.
Yeah, McCollum, going back to the Iowa State game, McCollum finished with 15. Uzan had 12. Latrey Darthard had 11. Sam Godwin scored 10 with 6 rebounds. So really spreading the ball out offensively, moving the ball around. That's the impressive thing. Remind me a little bit of the Thunder in that some of their shots come so easily because they're so open, because guys are moving without the ball, because guys are passing the ball so willingly. Nobody's hogging the ball anymore. Nobody's dribbling the air out of the ball until the shot clock is about to expire so I can get my shot. That doesn't happen anymore for Oklahoma. So tonight, TCU, 8 o'clock, ESPN2. Then Saturday, 1 p.m. tip in Lawrence. Ryan, the latest list I saw said ESPN Plus.
Yeah, ESPN Plus game for that one, which is why you just need to follow along at AllSooners.com. I think that I've not approved this with who, so we're going to break news here. We're going to screw around. I think I'm going to do a live blog while I'm there. I think I might do the special basketball live blog if Oklahoma beats TCU. If Oklahoma beats TCU and everyone's juiced for it, no, I'll do it anyway. It's a top 10 battle. That's locked in. Kansas, number 3 in the country. Oklahoma, number 9 in the country. Next poll doesn't come out till Monday, so no matter what happens in Fort Worth, the Sooners will be a top 10 team in Lawrence, and I'll be boots on the ground there covering that game, live blogging everything I can see from inside the fog while everyone watches along at home on ESPN+.
Put you on the spot here. I hope you did your homework. Last time OU won in Fog Allen?
5 trillion years ago.
You didn't do your homework.
It's the 80s, yeah?
95?
95, whatever. It's older than me. It's literally like a 30. I think it's 93 because it predates me by I think 5 years ish, or 3 years, whatever. It's
all right. Did you see the Big 12 Media Day? The little interaction between the coaches when Porter got right up against Bill Self and said, "They told me if I get too close to Bill Self, somebody's going to call a foul." And Self replies, after laughing it up for a few seconds, Self replies, "Only at home." Only at home.
Indeed. Shout out to I wonder if
that's self-awareness.
Have we analyzed that Uday, who got hit with that, he did that because he's like, I'm used to I can do anything and get every single call here at the Fog, but now I'm wearing a TC uniform and suddenly not only is it a foul, but it's a flagrant. Do we think that's what happened there?
Very much so. Next week, it's West Virginia at home on Wednesday and at Cincinnati on Saturday. Let's finish up with some softball. Let's give the people what they want, Ryan. Football season's over. It's softball season at Oklahoma, right? Here's my question. We'll try to keep this simple and quick. OU returns the Big Four. They've got Nicole May on the mound. They've got Kinsey Hansen behind the plate. They've got Tiara Jennings at second base, and of course Jada Coleman in center field. All those guys have known for the last 3 years. Their freshman year, sophomore year, junior year, national championships. They're on a 61-game winning streak right now. They haven't lost in something like 315 days. So they're going to try and close that circle. Add to that, OU's got the number 1 ranked recruiting class, I think, in 2 of the last 3 years. And then, like the other year, they were number 2 or number 3. I can't remember. Depends on who. Everybody's got their own recruiting ranking, so it depends on who you follow. Point is, Ryan, there are plenty of pieces around those building blocks for 2024. So should we expect another national championship?
Well, yeah, and that's not even not even to mention that Alyssa Brito, Alina Torres coming back, Riley Boone coming back, obviously, right? Adding to Nicole May, you got Kelly Maxwell, a huge transfer addition. Oklahoma, it's probably as much in doubt as it's been because Jordy Ball is the best player in college softball. Sorry, just because she's not wearing an Oklahoma uniform doesn't make her not the best player now. She's the best player in college softball. What she did in the Women's College World Series, and I think you've seen that Nicole May is good enough to dominate Big 12 play, dominate regional play, dominate super regional play, and then she sometimes gets into a little trouble in Oklahoma City, right? Kelly Maxwell is the exact same way. And so both of those get to share that load. You got a righty and a lefty that can kind of go at it there. Patty Gasso and Jitten Rocha can approach that in different ways. I'm just curious. Both Nicole May and Kelly Maxwell need to take another step forward as far as limiting walks, limiting free bases. And then Oklahoma is going to, again, have an awesome lineup top to bottom. And then it's going to be like, okay, Peyton Monticelli, who came in from Wisconsin, the pitcher, what can she do to be an extra arm? Carly Keeney, who came in from Liberty. She was awesome at Liberty, but broke a finger in fall ball. So we didn't get to see her. Patty Gasso's not going to get to see her pitch until I think this month is what tracks. If I remember correctly, that January, February is kind of what tracks up there. Riley Ludlam coming in, kind of Kinsey Hansen's understudy at catcher. Patty Gasso in the fall called her a really raw prospect, but she was great at times in the battle series. And then you got 4 freshmen who Patty Gasso already has said, I've taken these freshmen out a couple of times to dinner since they arrived and been like, hey, we're going to the SEC, and you guys got to be the class that leads us to the SEC. Tiara Jennings is not going to play a single inning of softball in the SEC. Jada Coleman's not going to play as an SEC player. So you're going to have Ella Parker, Cassie Pickering, Maya Bland, Nellie McEnroe, Marina. That's going to be your 4. And Ella Parker was hitting the ball all over the place in the fall. So I think that'll be really fascinating to see how that shapes up. So Oklahoma's got to obviously replace Grace Lyons at short. If I were a betting man, I would say you probably get Alyssa Brito, who's super athletic, playing short, and get Alina Torres slotting back in at third. Got to find, Sydney Sanders. Can she, coming back to first base, take that momentum from the back half of the year and be that kind of player all year long for Oklahoma? And if so, then you're just looking at really one spot in the outfield. If Torres comes in to play third, then who's going to be out there in right field? Probably. So the expectation, Oklahoma's still the most talented roster in the country. They should be the betting favorite. They should be the odds-on favorite. All that to win another national championship. I just don't think it's a done deal because once you get into the Women's College World Series, I just need to see a season from Nicole May and Kelly Maxwell to see if they've taken another step forward. Because they're already elite pitchers, like an elite righty-lefty duo. They're just not a duo that at the end of last year could have come in and pitched all those scoreless innings against Stanford and Florida State like Jordy Ball did for Oklahoma.
Yeah. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why Ryan is my softball writer, because he knows it all. I love it. Thanks, man. Good stuff. You did 3 segments. You okay? Everything all right?
Yeah, I think I'm good. I might need to take a little nap and then we'll regroup. It's the late tip tonight. This is the big secret.
Yeah.
This 8 p.m. tip for someone that needs to be up at 4:45 is really tough. So at some point there will be a nap that is had between now and when Oklahoma and the Horned Frogs get that bad boy going in Fort Worth.
He not only talked for an hour and 11 minutes on this podcast, he talked for 4 hours this morning on the franchise. So man's busy. Man stays busy. Keep that voice, keep those vocal cords warm, man.
Got to hit the tea and the honey. Is that what it is?
That's what it is, especially in this cold weather. Don't let it strike you.
Trying. We're doing our best.
Thanks, Ryan.
Absolutely.
Thank you all for listening. As you know, we'll be back on the AllSooners Podcast next week. You can find all of our podcasts on Apple, Google, Spotify, Podbean, iHeart, or anywhere you get your podcasts. If you have an Amazon-enabled device, just say, Alexa, play the AllSooners Podcast. It's also posted on our website, allsooners.com. Just click on the player and listen on your phone, your tablet, or your computer. And, of course, all of our shows are posted on my YouTube channel, John Hoover Media. For Ryan Chapman, we'll talk to Randall Sweet next week. I'm John Hoover. See you guys.